This patient is going to receive an enterostomy feeding tube, and these feeding tubes are extremely useful in patients that have upper GI surgery or that are vomiting and cannot handle tubes placed above the small intestine. The surgeon identifies the direction of flow of ingesta and picks a 5 French flexible feeding tube that has a convenient capped end. A pack of 5O monofilament absorbable or non-absorbable suture material is used to do the suturing. A seromuscular incision, approximately 1.5 to 2 centimeters long, is made, and it is important that the incision goes just through the seromuscular layer. Notice here the shiny submucosal layer underneath. On the aboral side of the incision, a hole is made into the lumen of the intestine and the feeding tube passed about 12 to 18 inches down the intestine. Once the tube has been passed to the satisfaction of the surgeon, a tunnel is created to infold the tube into the previously made seromuscular incision. In order to perform this, the surgeon will use a Cushing suture to help deliver each cut edge of the seromuscular layer to come across the top of the tube and have a serosal to serosal contact, creating an airtight, watertight tunnel. And this is all done to allow a collapsible tunnel that will seal the hole in the intestine when the jejunostomy feeding tube is removed. Here you can see the suture is placed partial thickness through the intestinal wall to engage just a few collagen fibers of the submucosa. And then a similar suture is placed on the opposite side of the tube. Once again, it's a partial thickness suture. When the suture is tied, the edges of the serosal surface of the cut edge come into contact to create an airtight, watertight seal over the top of the tube. 3 to 4 sutures are placed in order to complete the closure of the incision over the tube. The tube is then exited through a separate puncture wound made away from the primary abdominal incision. This can be done by placing the intestine over to the side of the abdominal wall, choosing a location for the exit point. A blade is advanced through the abdominal wall. A hemostat is used to grasp the blade, and the blade is returned into the abdominal cavity. The blade is released by the hemostat. The hemostat then grabs the end of the tube and pulls the tube out through the abdominal wound. care is taken not to put too much traction on this tube, as there has been nothing done yet that will hold the tube in place under any traction at all. Premature removal of the tube at this point can be very frustrating. In order to keep the small intestine at the tube exit point of the abdominal wall, a jejunopexy must be performed. This pexy is done with 4O monofilament absorbable suture material with 4 to 5 sutures placed 360 degrees around the exit point of the tube. The first suture is the dorsal pexy suture. And this allows the dorsal aspect of the abdominal wall to be pexied against the dorsal aspect of the exit point of the small intestine. Next, the caudal suture is placed. Once again, care is taken to put partial thickness sutures through the seromuscular layer of the jejunal wall. And these sutures are tied to create a gentle apposition and not to strangulate. Next is the cranial suture, and then finally the ventralmost suture is placed. Once again, nothing has been done to secure the tube to the patient's body wall. In order to perform this, a Chinese finger trap friction suture is done, as shown here. The anchor suture should have a generous bite in collagen-dense skin, and the tube is then sutured against the anchor point. Then one end of the suture is placed in one direction under the tube, and the opposite end of the suture is placed in the opposite direction under the tube, and the knot tied. This is done at least 4 times up the tube, and care is taken not to overpower the tube with the suture and occlude the lumen. This is a very secure closure.